Hi, I'm Debra Prinzing, and I am so delighted to welcome you to the 10th week of the Slow Flowers virtual meetup that we've been having on Fridays since late March. It's just so important to just share our stories with each other and learn how we're being resilient during this crazy COVID time. And today will be the last weekly meeting. I think I mentioned this last week, but just at the top of the hour, I think I'll just mention that we're going to try to transition just because we're really getting into busy season for people who are growing and also people who are running their floral businesses. And Fridays are, of course, often a pivotal day. So we're going to just pivot or sorry, I hate that word. We're going to move into monthly meetings, keep the virtual meetup as just a tradition in Slow Flowers, COVID or not. And so the next one will be June 12th in 2 weeks. And then we'll just do the second Tuesday of every month. But because we are kind of going out with a bang on the weekly meetings, I am delighted today to mention that we have two amazing guests who are collaborating in this sort of theme of collaboration, community, building meaning into our work is something that's sort of been a thread that's woven through everything we've discussed since we started doing these Friday calls. So before I introduce our guests, I forgot to do a little housekeeping. Has everybody identified themselves in the chat? If you click on the chat on the bottom of your screen, the chat icon, if you're not seeing it, do that. It will list everybody who's on the call, and you can change your name if, for example, only your first name is popping up and you want to identify your business, because we do have giveaways that we'll be doing this week, and Nisha Blancas, our social media maven, will be checking everybody's name into the drawing. So your name, you don't have to stay for the whole call. You can be considered a participant if you're here and you identify yourself. So also I would encourage you to please add your questions into the chat box, and I'm going to be monitoring those today for our guests. So our first guest is Lisa Waud, and Lisa Waud also wears many hats, but one is as the membership chair or membership manager for Slow Flowers, and but she's a renowned botanical artist, always the one to think up the big ideas and go for it. And Lisa and I first became friends in 2000. I guess we started talking about this in 2014, Lisa, when you were planning Flower House Detroit. And boy, you have done so many amazing installations in the US and in Europe since then. And your whole business has kind of taken a shift toward nurturing public art through flowers. And Lisa, I just want you to tell everybody what you're doing right now that just launched yesterday. And then we'll bring in one of your collaborators, Amanda Maurmann of Gnome Grown Flowers and the Michigan Flower Growers Collective. And then I think we'll have a dialogue as well. So Lisa, let's take you off mute and let you walk everybody through what is cooking up in Detroit right now.
Well, thanks for that nice intro, Debra. I am formerly of Pot and Box, which was the business I was running for 10 years. We're a florist and a plant store here in Detroit. And, you know, just like all of us, I won't say pivot. I did not know you disliked that word, Debra. But I went through many iterations, working out of an Airstream trailer for one summer, and I was in Ann Arbor, and now I'm in Detroit. And so I understand the life of the designer. Let's see here, a little over a year ago, made the decision to close my business to focus on doing more public art installations, and big leap of faith. And I'm still, you know, especially now, hoping that was the right decision, but continually coming up with ideas to bring joy to people's lives through plants and flowers. So the project that I have just launched here in Detroit, should have practiced this.
No, that's great.
The project that I've just launched is called Big Flower Friend. And I think anyone who was on last week, I told you the hidden little dig behind the name. I haven't watched it. I haven't had the heart to watch Big Flower Fight yet on Netflix. But I don't like the word fight. I don't think we should fight. I think we should all work together. So my project is called Big Flower Friend. And as you can see here, it is the point of the project is to raise money so I can continue to purchase flowers from Michigan flower farmers, usually working through the channel of the Michigan Flower Growers Co-op. But Amanda and I had a big talk yesterday, and now I'm buying directly from the farms, in trying to work with everyone. But the whole project is really, I was thinking about how usually we're all so busy with June weddings and events. And of course, none of that is happening. So I was thinking of how I could still be going through the motions that I had an event every week. So I thought, okay, we'll have an event every week. So the project is raising money so I can continue to buy flowers from the farmers. And I'm producing a series of installations, one a week. And of course, in classic Lisa style, it is very complicated and very layered. So I'm working with some friends who wrote a guidebook on Detroit, and the locations are very geographically diverse. So they're scattered all over. Detroit's very big, 164 square miles. So I didn't want it to be just in like the hipster neighborhoods, right? So we have a lot of really interesting things happening here. So the locations are really great, and I'm working with those friends to collaborate on choosing those. And of course, I have a local photographer, Emily Berger, and the installations are always going to be observable from a vehicle, or you can pop on a mask if you want to go and poke around, which I hope people do. But so last week, how do I advance this? So this is our first week, and I actually just revealed this photo a few minutes ago before I hopped on this call.
Awesome! Oh my gosh, how beautiful!
So this week was the first installation, and it is the house in the background. There is actually a home that Marvin Gaye lived in. We're Motown, and we're very musical city. So that is Marvin Gaye's house from the mid 60s to the early 70s. And I'm going to get goosebumps when I say this, but it is fabled that there's a sunken living room, which is very 60s. And there was a gold piano there where he conceived what's going on in this house. So
what's going on? We needed the soundtrack for this, Lisa.
Yeah, I should have queued it up in the background. So keeping that in mind, I did this design with the shape as kind of an homage to this sunken living room with the gold piano. You can see the accent decor vase there at the bottom, which I may or may not get back. But so, and it's also, the shape is twofold. It's also the shape of that, we've been working to flatten the curve of coronavirus, staying home and being safe. And so it's kind of like a double dip with the shape there. So it's been very exciting already, and I've only been launched for about 4 days now. So I was so thrilled to work with Amanda and the other flower farmers on this project, and we'll talk more about collaboration and how we're still learning to work together. But that is what I'm up to right now.
I love it. How can people, how are people supporting it? I know you did a radio interview this morning that's going to air next week. Do you feel like this is going to gain momentum, and, you're kind of open to those things that come your way? Like maybe there aren't even partnerships you know about yet that will come out of this.
Yes, you know me well, Debra. I do love that this is a 6-week project, because I think there'll be some evolution that can happen in there. And it's also gives me a chance to kind of pump up the support, give, fundraise, and then go into like enjoying the beauty of it. So it's not just the whole time really like, please support this, please support this. There's a nice kind of wave we can do throughout the project. I am very excited. I mentioned this last week, but I'll say it again. Even before I launched this project, I shared it with Debra to get some feedback, and I didn't even know much about. I didn't know much about the financial goals, but Debra came on early as a day sponsor. So the last installation of this series will be July 2nd and during American Flowers Week. And so Debra will be choosing the theme for that, and we'll be doing something really fun to celebrate American grown flowers.
Well, thank you, Lisa. I think what my takeaway of seeing this, because I've known you were working on it, but I couldn't conceptualize what kind of installation you would do. But it's like there's something immediate that anyone who can walk or drive there can see and experience. And so it's a gift to the community that's beautiful. But then the underlying message of, you know, celebrating Michigan grown flowers and supporting floral agriculture, and especially your friends at the co-op, is raising awareness. And I think that that's a great outcome that hopefully will result from this, just like all of your other Detroit centric projects. You've been doing this awareness raising since before Detroit Flower House, I know. And
that's a very important piece to me, the awareness. And I feel so fortunate to work with you too on this, because I feel like it really helps me think at the national level and international too, raising awareness for like, what's my new favorite quote? LL Cool J.
Yeah.
Don't touch the comeback. Have been here for years. Like, our flower farmers have been here doing their thing, working in those fields, you know, growing those flowers for us for years. And I think now things, you know, the volume's turned down enough where we can be tuned into that and really double down on working locally.
Actually, that's kind of interesting, because you've seen this arc of the timeline. And is it easier, and I want Amanda to jump in and comment on this too, is it seemingly easier to get the message across in general conversations or with the media or with the floral community than 6 or 7 years ago? Do you feel like you're pushing that boulder just a little bit easier uphill than you did before?
I absolutely think so, although I would just change the pronoun to say we. You know, this takes all of us. Obviously, you are a huge force in pushing that boulder, but I think, you know, you have to, what's the saying, think globally, act locally.
Yeah.
So, you know, every little thing we do together really helps with that. And I think, you know, I think Slow Flowers has always built on slow food, and so I think the sell is getting easier for people to make that jump. Like, oh, I don't eat flowers, why does that matter? Well, because it's a web and we're all living in it. So
that's really true. Well, shall we bring in our second guest, Amanda Marvin? And I'm going to just mention that Amanda was one of our speakers last year at the Slow Flowers Summit in St. Paul, and it was really on the topic of forming a wholesale flower hub that she was presenting. So Amanda is a flower farmer in her own right. She and her family own and run a small cut flower farm and design studio in Ann Arbor called Gnome Grown Flowers. Amanda always utilizes organic and sustainable practices, and, you know, loves growing a diverse array of unique and interesting blooms that inspire design. And Amanda, you yourself are also a designer. I don't know what kind of how that looks this year, but along the way, Lisa and Amanda met. I want you both to talk about that, and then you know, Lisa's a florist and Amanda's a farmer and a farmer florist, and then that wasn't enough. There was an instigation that happened to start the Michigan Flower Growers Co-op. So Amanda, I'll bounce it over to you, and then Lisa, we will not turn off your mic because I'm sure you'll have some things to add. Hi, Amanda. Unmute. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I messed up the mic.
We're good. Yeah, so stumbled upon this amazing journey that I've been on for the last few years. I'm lucky to have some amazing, influential florists right near me. Sue McCleary is one of them. Lisa Waud's another one. They both kind of brought me into the fold, and we've been running hard at this ever since. Participated in Flower House Detroit and Flower Week Detroit, and it was at Flower Week Detroit where Lisa put the bug in my ear about this whole co-op thing that was happening out there. And I also, at that time, I was a farmer first, a veggie farmer, and I was actually, the farm that I was working at that time was closing, and so I was losing my job. And it was kind of like a, it's time to act moment. So between starting my own farm and partnering with 2 other local flower farmers, we started the co-op that all happened in the same year. With Lisa's support and Sue's support, it would have never happened. And now here we are, still partnering, still working together, still getting creative, still rocking it, 4 years later. And it's been amazing to be able to work together on these different levels. I mean, as farmers and florists, we speak the same language, but it's just a little bit of a different dialect, right? Like, so being a part of this Slow Flowers community has really broken down the language and has really allowed us to really take our partnership to the next level. So thank you, Debra, for that opportunity and for really connecting us on all this same level.
Well, Amanda, can you talk about what is the structure of the Michigan Flower Growers Co-op? Like, how is it organized? Because I know you have at least one other co-op participant on the call, Angie. And is it Machado? Is that how we say it? Yeah. So I know if you want to bring her in, let me know and I'll unmute her. But just tell us a little bit about the structure and why it's so unique for the Ann Arbor, Detroit market.
Yeah, so we are founded by farmers, partnering with florists. We were very clear from the beginning that we wanted florists on the board so that we always had their voice in the room when it came to making decisions. Even though some of the farmers are florists as well, it is just really important to have as many different minds at the table as possible when making decisions. So we have, I don't even know where we're at now. Angie can comment on this, maybe 22 growers, and the list of buyers is growing exponentially all the time. We started as a small market floor, and now we have delivery. We just launched a bucket truck this last week. And so we're really bringing it. The farmers have definitely expanded production over the years in order to meet the growing demand that our local florists and grocery retailers are demanding.
That's great. Angie, you want to add anything? I just took you off mute.
I mean, obviously, I'm new to the organization as of this year, so it's been really interesting coming on board in these times. But really, we're getting our feet back on the ground. And yeah, like Amanda said, we launched the bucket truck last week, which was incredibly exciting. And we've had great feedback because we have mostly retail grocery stores on that one, well for them. So yeah, just continuing to grow, especially through these times.
Yeah.
Ladies, how did COVID affect you as farmers and jump starting the season? Because I know Michigan in general is a little later than other regions, so perhaps that in some weird way gave you a little bit of time to get organized and maybe consider things like safe social distancing and proper hygiene for delivery. I mean, is any of that stuff did you have to take any of that into account?
Absolutely. Yeah, the board and Angie together really worked extremely hard to make sure that everybody was safe from the beginning. What I was saying was the co-op delayed the opening for a month, and communicated that with growers so that they could find alternative outlets for their flowers, which they did. Everybody was able to sell everything, which is fantastic. Our buyers were going to them directly, and they started CSAs, and it was okay. Everybody did okay, and now we're open. Market floor is by appointment only. We have the bucket truck, which is perfect timing to launch something like that. And our delivery, and April is a slower month for us in Michigan. We're in mostly kind of zone 6A, 5B in the out-of-town farms. And so April, and there's only so many hoop houses to grow, ranunculus and renamander. So it's a slower month anyway. And now that Lisa's project is launching, and it coincides really beautifully right now with the first flush of field production that is happening. So it's great timing since June.
Wow.
Otherwise would be very quiet for all of us.
So is there a perception that you're having to, I guess, address and should just change assumptions, like florists who don't understand that flowers are available? And Lisa and I talked about this a little bit with maybe someone else who made a comment to her about how, every stem is sold, or, what she wants is not available. So, do you have to kind of still do some education to help people understand that there's a steady flow of beautiful flowers grown locally coming out of, you have lots of farms involved here.
We do. Yeah, exactly. This time of year, everyone's always hungry to get their hands on stuff, and it is a weaker time of the year for us. Farmers are working on that, but it takes, time and money to put up hoop houses and space and all of that. And so this time of the year, while it's getting better, still we don't always meet the demand. That's just a fact, whether COVID is happening or not. So I think it was just a little bit more intense and a little more urgent. Everything is right now. And so that feeling of like, I want to do something, but there's no flowers, I think met with maybe a little bit more frustration than it would have in the past.
Sure.
But that's being communicated through, and I think people are understanding, especially now that they can get outside and they can actually, they're going for walks and they're seeing the roadsides in bloom, and they're kind of wrapping their head around the fact that, and food farmers too, they're providing as much as they can, but I think the reality of the supply in Michigan in April is people are really able to wrap their heads around it.
That makes sense. And here, Lisa felt the same concern that you did, like, let's get the flowers out into the community. And so, Lisa, maybe you can jump in and talk about how you and Amanda are collaborating, and how you're actually, how you approached the Michigan Flower Growers Co-op and brought this project idea to them. And then while we ask you to talk about that, I'm hoping that anybody who has got questions can pop them into the chat bar, and I'll be the moderator today because Lisa's the guest.
I was just trying to answer Sherry because it's hard to break my habit of monitoring that.
I didn't see that. Sorry.
So I had this idea. So this is something that this is a reoccurring thing that I, as someone who likes to collaborate, you'd think that I would be learning this quicker, but I just in thinking about talking about this today, went back and looked at emails from the past couple weeks, and I sent my idea to the co-op on May 5th and saying, I'm going to launch this next week. What do you have for me? Which is maybe not actually collaboration, but more like telling someone what's about to happen.
Right. Well, it happens. Your heart was there.
I got excited. So I think, maybe back when I had the idea a couple weeks prior, bringing them in, and and really talking about like, how can I best support you? You know, graciously, when they replied, they told me we had a really cold spring. So they said, you know, we're not quite ready for you to be supporting us, so let's push this a couple weeks. So I think in any case, we got to kind of thinking about, you know, I keep thinking how busy June usually is for weddings and events. So push with our help, and now is such a strange time with no foundation. So every day and every week, I think it's going to be just constant communication. You know, I looked at the pre-order list for the co-op for next week's installation, and there's just not a lot there, because now that I know after talking to flower farmers that you know, they've reached out and really pumped up their other channels, CSAs and, you know, the farm stand, like everything Amanda said. So I'm still working with the same farmers, but, you know, sending out texts and saying, can I pick up $400 worth of flowers from you next Wednesday, and that kind of thing. So I think it is like always boils down to communication. You know, what are you thinking? Here's what I'm thinking, and, you know, throw that in the tumbler and see what happens.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Amanda, do you want to jump in and just sort of talk about, I mean, I think the co-op in and of itself, having been closely involved with the Seattle Wholesale Growers Co-op, it is, it takes a certain type of mindset to be in a co-op where the greater good is more important than the individual win. And it's heartfelt, and it takes a lot of intentionality to make that succeed. And then you get Lisa coming in and you know, adding her perspective as Lisa, you are a former board member, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am. So it's a funny conversation when I'm talking to people who are now the board members and growers there, and I'm saying, well, we need to do this. And they're like, what we are you right now? And I'm like, well, we the co-op. I bleed co-op blood, right? So I think I'm very passionate about it, and I think it's a really hard to have the conversations with people who haven't made that connection yet, and sometimes I struggle with it. But I do think it is about building something for the long term that will be there for us.
Exactly. Yes, the goal is this co-op will outlive every one of the farmers who currently are a part of it, right? And so it is, I mean, farming is very isolating, right? Like, you have your farm, you're standing out in your field that you created, it's your business, it's your baby, it's your home, it's everything. So it can feel very isolating, and it is really counterintuitive to then take a business that's inherently risky and inherently yours and open it to the vulnerabilities of many other farms and many other small businesses. It can be challenging to hold both of those in one group of people. So there's constantly this, hey, you didn't list anything on the pre-order this week. Do you realize that impacts everybody?
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just, so there's this constant, and it's not about like, it's just about reminding everybody always why we are in this together, which is a much easier, that is hitting people a lot, like we were talking about earlier, a lot easier right now. It's landing a lot harder, and the impact is felt more, so people are rising to the occasion.
Amanda, since you were talking about how isolating and singular flower farming is sometimes, I thought I would add the Gnome Grown Flower Farm website up so people can kind of just get a sense of who you are. And I really would invite everyone to come spend time on the Gnome Grown Flower Farm website, because Amanda is pretty specific about her mission and her commitment to kind of the people, planet, profits kind of approach to being a floral entrepreneur, and this is really beautiful, Amanda. And I know
Thanks.
you walk the talk, and you and Lisa together have done some fun collaborations, and I love that it's even broader to include more flower farmers.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that, Deborah. Yeah. I've tried to make my website not just about me, but about educating in general about what will be in season and why things cost the way they do, and all that.
Oh, I see. What will it cost? Yeah. I mean, that's something that benefits the whole farming community to have you talk about that as well. Yeah. Exciting. So, Lisa, you alluded to the fact that you are messaging individual farmers as well as the co-op to figure out what's available for your next installation. So that you're already working on next week's plan, right?
Yep, certainly. And while I gave a little dig to competitive floristry shows, I do really enjoy the idea of just giving a dollar amount to a farmer and saying, you know, give me your best, and seeing what comes of that. And so it's I feel like it's my own little reality TV show just for me, where it's the location and the flowers and the theme, you know, all kind of gets across, and I get to react to that.
Hey, we have a question from Yanni. Yanni, I'm just going to take you off mute and let you ask it, because I want to make sure Lisa hears you.
Oh, I was just wondering if you have plans, Lisa, for which neighborhoods you were going to feature installations, and if you have plans for which particular installations you plan to do in the next few months.
Like I said, I've been working with some friends who wrote a guidebook. They gave me a list to choose from, and I'm just it'll be in the next couple of days that I pick next week, and it's just kind of you know, coming together. I don't know, I guess, what's guiding me, but you know, as anyone who donates $500 or $1,000 for the project is to choose a theme. So I'm kind of waiting for those to pan out, and as they choose the theme, maybe there's a different location that kind of resonates with that. And so it's kind of along the lines of local and seasonal. So it's kind of what the mood of the week. You know, I'm thinking 6 weeks out, and that's about as far out as I feel like I have a foundation for. So yeah. I will go where I am needed.
It makes me want to visit Detroit so I can see all these locations, because that it sounds like your friends who are curating the locations for you or recommending them have done a lot of that research that is sort of the underground, unknown little gems in Detroit that maybe tourists don't know about.
Yeah, there are a lot of really interesting things on the list. You know, the Burwood Wall is a physical wall that used to separate, when there was redlining, separate black and white neighborhoods. And there's still a physical wall there, this physical barrier, this, you know, in our city that you can go and see. So I think, you know, all of these cultural locations that I have on this great list to choose from, I think there's an educational piece to it. And, you know, we hook them with the beauty of flowers, but then we teach them about other things, right?
That's beautiful. Hey, there's a question for Amanda, and I think she's answered some of it in the chat, but it might be good for everybody here, Amanda. Sherry was asking about, is the Michigan Flower Co-op a physical location, and how can people shop there? And can you talk a little bit about that? Just paint a picture for people.
Yes, of course. So we are a physical location. We rent a space in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and we have a we consolidate our harvest, and the week prior to market, we send out a pre-order sheet to all the wholesale florists who have joined as a buyer. So there's a buyer membership, and then we have our grower membership. So the pre-order sheet goes out a week ahead, and they shop. And then growers fulfill that pre-order list and bring whatever extras they have to the market floor, which then, as buyers are picking up their pre-order, they can shop additionally for more products. And then now we run the bucket truck that growers can separate stuff out that they want specifically to go on the bucket truck. And we also offer delivery. So the market happens every week in a normal year, beginning in April and going to the first killing frost in October, whenever that may be. So there's no hard end date. It's just whatever happens in the fall. And the co-op takes a 25% cut of every sale.
So is there is it sort of like being in a daycare co-op where every parent has to work one day a week, or like do you have a staff member? How do you actually manage it?
Yeah, so we have a part-time market manager, Angie, here on the call. She's our new market manager this year, and she's been an incredible asset so far. So part-time market manager who basically coordinates the growers, tries to herd the cat of farmers and get us all, on the pre-order sheet, everything. It's a lot to manage. And then she also manages the market floor, so she runs it and checks people out and makes sure that the buyers have everything they need and are well taken care of. And then we have a 5 to 7 member board that kind of manages the larger, bigger picture.
It sounds like also the more that maybe the restrictions of COVID or whatever Michigan's retail rules are, that will be easier. But right now you're having to let people shop one at a time, or?
Right now we're making appointments. So every 15 minutes, someone can come in and shop the market floor for social distancing.
Well, Angie and Amanda, I want to just tell you anecdotally about this very same thing is happening in Seattle at the Seattle Growers Market. And the staff told me that the florists are actually really loving it because they can go into the cooler by themselves and there's no crazy jostling for rare stuff. And I don't know if you've experienced that, but I never thought that was going to be a positive. But people like that quiet, calm experience without panicking that they're going to miss out on something.
I can totally appreciate that. As a florist who rushes to Ipsy the very first moment I can every Wednesday morning to get the best stuff, I can totally appreciate that.
Anything to add on that, Angie?
We've opened up in increments. So we opened up no contact, deliveries only. Then we opened up curbside pickup along with that. And now we're opening up, and then the bucket truck, and now the market floor. So that will be this week. And we talked about that, and we were like, actually, this would probably be a really great thing for florists and for us, because like Amanda says, a lot of people rush to the market because they know it opens at 8 and all the good stuff is there and they want to get that good stuff. So I guess now that dies down, that rush, and we can focus on one person at a time. So we'll see how it plays out. And as, like you said, the restrictions keep lifting, what we will do are safe.
Is the bucket truck different than direct delivery? Is that, I just want to make sure I understand what that is designed to do. Is it fulfilling a demand for delivery?
Sure. Yeah. So what we do is we give the option on our pre-order for a delivery of pre-ordered items. So it includes any pre-orders, but it is a separate membership. It's like an add-on membership that if you also signed up for the bucket truck, paid for the bucket truck, that you can get your pre-orders delivered, and you will have kind of a spray, I guess, as much as we can of the market floor on the bucket truck.
Like a mobile warehouse almost.
Yes, a mobile warehouse, definitely. So like I said, for retail florists that can't come to the market and florists that can't come to the market, this has been, we've had a great response so far. So
yeah, I'm sure you have. Can I just ask geographically what that encompasses? Because how far is Ann Arbor or Ypsilanti from Detroit? Are those your major markets that you're serving on that route?
Definitely Detroit. I think the furthest we go is about an hour away for our deliveries. So it covers our delivery area. The bucket truck is the same as our delivery area. But we do, because we charge more for the bucket truck membership, we give a discount on the fee of delivery if you are a bucket truck member.
Got it.
So it kind of works out in the end if they invest in the bucket truck and they're like far away in Detroit. I mean, it makes up for the larger delivery fee they would have if they didn't.
Yeah, I think of Lisa when she had her retail flower shop, this would have been something you'd be thrilled to support, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm going to use it now. I'm a bucket truck member already.
Oh, you are, even as someone who doesn't have a regular, like everyday flower demand, you're able to use it when you need it.
Yeah, I wanted to support the co-op financially, and this is something and I thought maybe once in a while I'll want that bucket truck to pull up to my house.
That's awesome. Well, this has been really, really inspiring just to kind of get a snapshot of one market and how it is built around community. And I feel like the seed of that was planted back when Lisa, you and Amanda started collaborating together. I think back when Amanda was at a Zingerman's, right? Is that where you were, Amanda, before you started your own thing?
Yeah, I was a farmer over for Zingerman. Yep, exactly.
I was telling everybody, well, telling the team before we started the meeting that when Lisa launched Flower House Detroit, and I was there, I got to come, I remember sitting in the backyard on the ground with Amanda and Sue McCleary as they were processing flowers. And Amanda, you just had this sparkle, like you just had this vision that you were like, you couldn't suppress that excitement you had for creating a floral agriculture scene in Michigan. And back then there wasn't much. Lisa had to get flowers from all over the US. There was some local product, but it couldn't have filled the whole house. And I think things would be different today if you did something of that scale, just because this community has been nurtured in the last 5 years. I mean, I've seen it, Amanda, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was completely serendipitous and exactly what needed to happen when it happened. It was the perfect opportunity.
Awesome. Well, we wish you both huge success during Big Flower Friend and the entire growing season for the Michigan Flower Co-op, Michigan Flower Growers Co-op. If anyone has any more questions, I'm gonna leave a minute or two for questions. Otherwise, I think we're gonna break out into just a group chat in the Zoom rooms for about 10 minutes. And I would challenge you all as a group, whoever you're in the room with, and Karen's gonna manage that, talk about your ideas for finding collaborations. Lisa and I are really busy doing this in planning for American Flowers Week, which starts June 28th, and she's going to do installation in Detroit to celebrate that. But we've got things happening all around the country. But let's just brainstorm a little bit about what collaboration would look like for you. We'll do that for about 10 minutes, and then come back and just announce the winners from last week and say goodbye. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was such a fabulous conversation, and I'm so glad we have the recording so we can share it with folks who couldn't make the call. It's just been a really great morning and very inspiring. Especially, I just have to say, it's been a rough 24 hours as we've watched just the pain and sorrow and hatred and destruction in the Twin Cities, and our heart just goes out to our friends there. And I personally, my heart is broken for the violence and murder of an innocent man who didn't deserve this, and I feel for what's happening there. So I don't know that there's anything I can do other than just say love each other and be an ally. Lisa, do you or Amanda, do you have anything else you want to add, or are we ready to just send everybody off?
Do we have a few drawings?
Oh yeah, we're going to do that. Well, we're going to announce the winners from last week. We had lots of winners. Hang on, page 2. So congrats to last week's giveaway winners. Emily Lynn of Long Lane Farm Flowers won the Slow Flowers Society t-shirt. Lori Garza of Flurry Flower Studio and Denisa Anderson of Merrily Along Floral are recipients of the brand new Slow Flowers Journal book, which is at the printer this week. As it turns out, Lori's has one of her bouquets is in the book, so it's really fun that she's winning a copy with her own work in it. And then Laura Tibbetts of Midcoast Blooms, Bobby Ballard of Fernbrook Floral Design, Rachel Johnson from Simply Grounded, and one more person, it's cut off here, won the bouquet labels. So sorry about that. You'll see, you saw that in the email. We have 3 giveaways this week, and Nisha will do the drawing after this. One is this wonderful t-shirt from our friends at Johnny's, Eat Locally Grown, which I think the art is really cool, and it's on a natural cotton, organic cotton t-shirt. So thank you, Johnny's. And then we will give away one more copy of the Slow Flowers Journal book that I let you preview last week. And hopefully I'll get copies delivered to me on Monday, and we'll send those out. And then 2 more rolls of these beautiful American Flowers Week bouquet labels that I'm going to be seeing all over social media at the end of the month. And the dates are on here, June 28th through July 4th. So you don't have to remember them. It's just the week ending on July 4th, no matter where it falls. And we'll see you all on Friday, the 12th of June. And we'll have a speaker, and I'm not sure who that will be yet. It will probably be one of the Botanical Couture dress designers from who did one of the looks for American Flowers Week. I'm talking to a few, and we'll have one of them come on, talk about creating a wearable garment out of fresh flowers and foliage. So that's my hope, at least. Thank you all so much for joining us, and be safe and love everybody. Love your flowers and your friends. Take care.